Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Mo Atkins. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing breast cancer, the information you need to know. My guest speaker is Patricia Bowden-Luccardi. She's a motivational speaker on the holistic women's health and wellness. She has many certifications that I can't say. We're going to give her the opportunity to tell you. So, hi, Patricia. Thank you for being part of this platform today.
Thank you so much. So, who am I?
Yes.
I'm a thermographic technician, and I work with the science of thermal imaging, infrared thermal imaging. It's a study of heat. We'll go over exactly what that is. And I have a private practice in New York City of holistic women's health. My background is a neuromuscular therapist, a breath educator. I was at a very famous medical spa, Canyon Ranch, for 5 years. Doing breath work and again, neuromuscular. So I have a very strong background in anatomy and physiology. And I've always been interested in natural medicine. Even as a teenager, I was seeking out the health food stores for vitamins and plant-based extracts. So I have a lifelong interest in healing with the spiritual dimensions of the food kingdom, of the life force in plants.
I love how you're going to be interesting. I'm going to enjoy this conversation. Okay. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to tell us. I can tell that you're very passionate about what you do, and I can see it glow through your face. So it's really nice to see. I know we're going to discuss breast cancer. And, first of all, for many people, what is breast cancer? And I guess, are there any signs or symptoms that we should be aware of?
Yes. Thank you for asking that. Unfortunately, breast cancer is starting to be seen in younger and younger women. And we have to look at the toxic load that our breasts are carrying from all these environmental estrogens. Our breasts are like the canary in the mine. So what we are looking at, we always ask a woman, is there any dimpling in your breast, any hardening, any lumps that don't move? Is there any secretion in the nipples? What else do we look at?
Hold on, secretion in the nipples?
Like if your nipples are secreting any kind of liquid, like if you're nursing, your nipples will secrete, but sometimes that's not unnatural. So the good news is 80% of the findings, particularly if there are lumps in a woman's breast, are benign.
Okay.
So we have to go back to, that's just the lay of the land of our breast. And again, our breasts are exposed to so many toxins, and 8 out of 10 cancers are now from toxins. So we're going to talk about how to detoxify. But so women say, well, how do I avoid breast cancer? Or, what do I do? Because we're into prevention. Don't wait until you find something. Thermography is available in Canada. And actually, one of the great studies that came out on mammograms, actually creating more harm than good, was come out of Canada. And not to say that a woman should never have a mammogram, but this is a radiation-free study of heat in the breast. So you asked me, well, what is cancer? That was one of the questions I know you had proposed to me earlier. Not just breast cancer, but what is any cancer? It's the uncontrolled proliferation of cells. Okay. So we have natural things in our body like iodine, vitamin D, selenium, something like something we put in our body, like green barley grass. It has something called apoptosis. It's natural cell death. It's like Pac-Man eating up those cancerous cells. But why does anybody get cancer? We don't know exactly why. We just know that there's a break in the immune system. So if we keep our immune system strong, and we know now with this COVID that it's based on our immune system. Any illness is based on where our immune system is. So we want to keep a strong immune system. And there's things that we can talk about to avoid, and things that our breasts love. Breasts love certain nutrients. But so really, cancer is just the uncontrolled proliferation of cells.
And I heard a lot. I caught a lot. I think for many women, we keep hearing breast cancer related to women. Can men also have breast cancer?
Absolutely. Breast cancer is not just something that affects women now. Because of the estrogen levels that are in our oceans, and we have male fish that are becoming female. We have amphibians, male frogs that are now showing up with eggs on their testes.
And I'm sorry, you can't just say all that and not shock people. Like,
Well, I'm
really?
going to explain it. Okay, there's a movie that's called Plastic Ocean. It's a documentary, and it shows that in the ocean, there's one part of the ocean, so my hands like that, there's one part of the ocean the size of Texas that's floating plastic. And as the sun radiates down on this plastic, it breaks into little microfibers, and our fish are eating this, our birds are eating this. But what's happening around the planet is that male testosterone has dropped 25%. The estrogen has increased 25%. I don't want to say 45%, sorry. I don't want to say around the world, but particularly in the areas of countries that have what's called industrialized nations, where their diet is not so good. Well, I guess all over because we're exposed to plastic. So let me just say, I don't know where it is, but they are having issues with their testosterone's dropping, male estrogen, erection, ED, erectile dysfunction is becoming very common, and the penises are getting smaller. So, you know, Erin Brockovich, does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
She's an activist. She just came out with she was just going over a study that has just come out now that sperm count is dropping around the world. So I had a gentleman that came in just 2 days ago, 12-year-old boy. And all women know that when we start to develop our breasts, we get these like little knots under the nipple, you know, because we're starting to develop breasts. Well, he was getting knots under the nipple. And he started to have the estrogen coming in his body. And classically in thermography, it is a color scale of heat coming off of our body. But we work with a scale that looks like a black and white photograph. And classically, estrogen, this is interesting, comes up looking like leopard spots. So our sexy hormone, estrogen, looks like leopard spots. Now you ask yourself, have you never bought a leopard purse, a leopard bra, leopard panties that you feel sexy with that leopard on?
Yeah. Patricia, stop.
But seriously, we have our estrogens look like leopard spots on our body. And this little boy had leopard spots on him. Now, another thing that's interesting is that there are estrogenic herbs out there. I had another man that came to me, and he was taking bitter wormwood. Now, it's interesting because in the book of Revelation, I think it's 8:11, it said the waters will be bittered with wormwood and the men will die. The oceans are being bittered with estrogen, and wormwood, bitter estrogen, is an estrogen producing plant. He was taking it for parasites for 3 months. He had severe, I didn't say that, our doctor said severe estrogen dominance.
Why was he taking it? Why was he taking it?
For parasites.
I gotta stop. I gotta fix my face, Patricia. Okay, just give me a second. My face is stuck where it is because I'm just shocked by what you're saying.
But again, so how do we avoid these estrogens? This is where there's something called the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org. They've been around for probably 25 years when my children were little. And they always come out every year with the Dirty Dozen and the Delightful 12. What vegetables and fruits to avoid, what vegetables are the safest to eat. And for 25 years, strawberries, bell peppers, and peaches have been on the top of the list. Don't ever get it unless it's organic. Don't ever get it. And they also have all the plastic products. It's great for mothers. It tells the toys, things that have been recalled, where to buy. Cosmetics. Cosmetics is one of the worst things that we can do to our body because whatever we put on our skin is absorbed in 26 seconds. Now think about if somebody had those patches for a heart attack, they place it on their body, they instantly get some kind of relief. So what we put on our body, our skin is our largest organ. And cheek color, foundation, eyeshadow, hairspray, fake tan, all of those have what's called endocrine disruptors or fake estrogens. So they go into the body thinking that they're estrogens, and then they park on our receptor sites like Velcro, and they disrupt the hormonal system. And our hormones are the guardians of our health. They are the guardians of our health. They are so subtle. And you know what? This goes into the realm of esoterica, but I will say that because, you know, we have energy fields around our body, and infrared is an energy field around our body, but we also have chakras. You see that in yoga. We have energy centers, and every hormone Every hormone is connected to a chakra. So they are the guardians of our health. And we have to just, honor our body and detox and avoid these plastics at all cost.
I'm sorry. You just ruined my life for me just now.
No, I just gave you the gift.
No, you did. I mean, so let me rephrase. I love strawberries. So just knowing that that was on a list and there's a list kind of like took me apart. The fact that, I don't wear makeup, rarely wear makeup. I can't stand it. I knew that cosmetic had a lot of toxic, like, because it's sinking into you. And a lot of people do tanning. Um, and what I'm understanding from you is that, hormones it's what keeps us healthy and is what regulates our body function and keeps our cells running. So if you're putting all that stuff, that could be also causing some of the cancer cells that you may, and you never know. So basically, that's
Never know when you flip a switch.
and
One of my fabulous doctors that I work with in New York City, Dr. Patrick Bowden, he said, when we see these estrogens come up on thermography, he said, now why do you want to keep, you wouldn't keep toxins on your kitchen table. Why do you want to keep them on your breast? So just get rid of them. Just detox, just eat. And you know what? Spring is a perfect time to detox. In some systems like Ayurvedic and in Chinese medicine, we detox with the seasons. And we're coming out of winter where the food's been heavy. And now we have all those plants growing like dandelions. It's so beautiful for the liver. So, green, green, green. Our breasts love all things green. You have to think about what makes the most beautiful breast milk. It wouldn't be wings and chicken wings and beer. No, it would be things that are green or fresh and alive that would make the most healthy breast milk. So that's the way we have to treat our breasts. What are our breasts like? What would make the most beautiful, healthy milk?
okay, so I get what you're saying. I think as a society, it seems that a lot of it's put on treatment, like the pills, you know, going through chemo. Would you say that we lack the concept of prevention, like you mentioned, eating? So sorry, go ahead.
Well, actually, when let's just look at the different screenings that are available to women.
Okay.
It's all anatomical screening. So we have mammogram that has radiation and they're looking for something. Even if it's tiny, 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 it has to be something to block an X-ray beam. We have an ultrasound, which is much safer. And they're looking at a mass, they're looking for something that's an anatomical structure. And then an MRI, which is a little, well, it's quite a bit more precise, but doesn't work with women with dense breasts, but they don't like to use it because it's very expensive and doctors are not trained in reading them. So what's missing? So when you go to school and you study anatomy and physiology, we're missing the physiology part because pathological disruptions in the body start as heat. We have inflammation like when we get a cut or something, but when we have chronic inflammation, it can start to kick in the cancer cells and they just keep growing and growing, growing hotter and hotter. So that is physiology. So first you do physiology, you look at the heat, and then you follow up with an ultrasound. Now, if a person gets a mammogram and they say you have a clean bill of health, what they're really saying is, no, it's not big enough to be seen. Come back every year until we can find it and then we can treat it. That's not prevention. It's all based on treatment. Now, let me just say that women who have dense breasts, that's more glandular tissue and more connective tissue, 49% of women have dense breasts. Now, you would never know until you've had an ultrasound or a mammogram and they could quantify that. But it's not abnormal. It just means that we have more density. And it's like looking for a snowball in a snowstorm. So a tumor is white, so is a connective tissue. So 80% of biopsies done off of mammograms are false positives. So that means they're running their business on a 20% success rate and 80% failure rate. But the good news is that they are false positives. But then again, a woman's been traumatized. She's been biopsied because they're not using physiology first. In this country, because I'm from the United States, it was covered by insurance until 1986 in the mammography lobby. Check it out. And I know Canada has it, England has it, Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Brazil. Brazil, they're in every hospital and they're in every operating room, thermography. Now, because of COVID, these camera sales have gone from 20 million to over $1 billion because they're looking at the heat when we walk into a ship or into into a federal building. They're looking at our face to see the heat. The government's been using it for years in espionage, because anything that's alive has heat, whether it's a soldier on the ground, a marijuana field, or whatever they're looking for, there's heat coming out of it. So it's not esoterica, it's just physics. So we're not working with the physics of breast cancer. We're just working with the anatomical findings. Then we can treat it. That is not prevention.
I never thought of it that way. And it makes a lot of sense because nobody teaches you how to prevent it. And a lot of things you said was detoxing, making sure that you feed yourself properly. Like a lot of things that we don't know how could affect ourselves that we are doing right now. We should be self-aware. And I know that, you said that you are a certification in thermographic technology. Educate me. I've never heard of it. So it's really good to have this conversation with you.
Thermography is a study of heat again.
Okay.
When the body is unclothed and it's acclimated, it's a certain certain room temperature, the body gives off information in heat. It's like a color scale, just like we have x-rays, we have auric fields, we have this beautiful heat that comes off. And the camera is just picking up the heat. And they're looking at the bilateral heat differences. So again, it could be within normal limits. But what I'm seeing as a thermographer for 10 years now, and that's why I wrote my book called Thermography in the Fibrocystic and Dense Breast, because I had 9 women come to me in 2 days. They had dense breasts, they were over mammogrammed, they were over biopsied. And again, it has a 28% sensitivity with mammography. Why are they not letting this woman have an ultrasound and stop radiating her every single year? So I say, wait a minute, there's a pattern. I have to write a book about this. So the other that I'm seeing is this overabundance of toxic breasts with estrogen. And it's increasing. It's increasing over the years. And my last case study that I did were these men that I was talking about. And I've had 2 men that did have mastectomies. They were covered like a leopard in estrogen. So what came first? Was it the estrogen or the breast cancer? Who knows? But nevertheless, they have a mastectomy on one side of their body. So that's what I'm seeing as a thermographer, is I'm seeing the over treatment of women, and they're not being given a choice of how to really look at their breast in a healthy way. And then I'm seeing this overabundance of toxicity. So I wanted to say about the different ways that we can approach our breast health. And that's, massage our breast. I know some women have issues about touching their breast, but
No, I'll touch my breast.
well,
I'll touch my breast.
some people do. And, we have to look at that and love our breast and ditch the underwire.
I don't have that. I don't have that. The one that digs into you and you're just like, oh, I remember when I was young.
It ends right at the lymphatic system.
Oh,
And not 80, but a large percentage of breast cancer is found in the outer quadrant where the lymph nodes are. There's a fabulous book called Dress to Kill, The Link Between Bras and Breast Cancer.
wow.
Yeah. And I have a friend, she's Parisian. She said, oh, we've known about that for years. And, the French, they love their brasiers. But nevertheless, those underwires are doing nothing. And please, please never, ever sleep in a bra. I don't care if it's a sports bra. It's the only time our lymphatic system can drain. It is the worst thing that we could ever do to our breast. Don't ever do it. So bras are another thing. Oh, we can't talk about breast cancer or any cancer without speaking about vitamin D. So they've done studies. This is very interesting because African Americans are 96% more at risk than any ethnicity because of the melatonin in their skin.
Really?
They get through. Yes, absolutely. And if I could speak to one group of women of childbearing age, make sure those vitamin D levels are optimal, because sometimes phlebotomists say they don't even come up on the chart. And if they're pregnant and their vitamin D levels are low, the brain of the fetus does not wire in utero. They come out with neurological damage, whether you call it ADHD or whatever. Now, I can back that up by principals and psychologists in downtown Brooklyn schools in a poor social economic group, and they're most all African American, and they are said every 5th child has some issue. So vitamin D is crucial. We have vitamin C receptor sites all over our body. This is what God gave us, the sun. How simple is that? So what happened they've done studies of 156 women, and they all had suboptimal levels of vitamin D. Now, at University of Albany, which is up the road from where I live, they put in a petri dish of breast cancer cells, they put high doses of vitamin D. Can I tell you, Mo, that in 2 days they shriveled up?
Really?
And I have one more. I have to share this. It's so beautiful.
Go ahead.
I had a woman from Brazil, and she had a tummy tuck that completely messed her up. Oh my goodness! It was so big. She got all kinds of inflammation, infection. They couldn't do anything for her. Her immune system was tanked. They gave her so much antibiotic, and you know what they told her? Go sit in the sun and heal yourself in the sun. She sat in the sun for 3 months. She is fine.
Oh, she wore the skin. She wore like
everything healed in her body. They said there's nothing else they could do for her but to sit in the sun. Isn't that beautiful?
I think you're right. I think vitamin D has been underplayed a lot.
Yes, it has been.
Because everybody talks about vitamin C, vitamin A sometimes, but D does not get the kind of respect that I think, based on what I'm hearing from you and I've heard recently, that should. I think if anybody was interested in learning more about, following your journey, learning about what kind of service you provide, what's the best social media platform that we can reach out on?
Okay. Well, for vitamin D, the best research is on Grassroots Vitamin D.
Okay.
Grassroots Vitamin D. And they show all the studies on that. For my own website, I have a lot of science and everything on it. And it's Patricia Luccardi, 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 at patricialucardi.com. And they can also go to Breast Thermography International, btiscan.com, and look at all the science. They can see case studies. Again, it's a beautiful science, and we just need to incorporate it back into women's health.
I am happy to have this conversation with you. I am. I think as a woman, and I basically, after what you said, as an African woman, knowing that 96% of us, we need vitamin D. I do have vitamin D in my cupboard. I have it, but it's nice to know that you can make an effort to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Untoxify yourself, as you mentioned, to limit some of the cancer cells that you may have by making right choices. It doesn't mean that you may not get it. Like, we're not saying that you will not get it if you do all this. It's just giving you the tools, right, to help you fight.
Right. So we want to love our breasts because no one loves them more than we do.
No, some men do. Some men love it more than we do. Some men.
But you know what? We want to keep them for the rest of our life. How about that? for us or them, I don't know. But yeah, so there's I want every woman to have happy, healthy breasts. That's the key. Happy, healthy breasts.
Yes, I think we fight with it every day, as with the bras, the uncomfortableness, and when you take it off, you're like, oh, thank God, and you released it. So I get it.
I have to tell you something.
Go ahead.
I said, Victoria's Secrets. What
Yes.
the real secret is that it's a multi-million-dollar industry run by men. The lingerie industry is run by men. What a surprise. With the outcome of having sex. But let me ask you, ladies, when you put your bra on during the day, in the morning, are you thinking about having sex at the end of the day? You just want to be comfortable. You want to be comfortable. So get a bra that is not constricting your lymphatic system. If it's leaving a mark on your back, get a bra extender. Seriously get rid of the wires. There's nothing there that's really doing anything. It's just kind of a placebo effect. If you have large breasts, look at some of the sports bras with wider straps, because a lot of times it digs into the shoulders and women get the tingling in their fingers and hands coming from the shoulders. Don't make it so tight that the breast can't breathe, because our breasts are pendulous and they run a degree or two cooler. And they've done studies around the world, women who are more free flowing with their breasts, they don't have as many problems. So if our breasts can't breathe, loosen them up, give them air to breathe. But I know some women are large busted and they have to wear a bra, or they feel they have to wear a bra. but just know that the lift is in the strap. So get a bigger strap if need be.
I want to say thank you for this conversation. I feel like, I'm making some right choices when it comes to my bra. I wear a lot of sports bra because I'm at home all the time now. There's no point where, even then. But
Even then.
it's painful. Like sometimes I'm just like, no, that does not look comfortable. It does not. And it's very painful. And I see some women, like even when you're playing sports, you should not be wearing a bra, like an actual wire bra when you're playing sports. It is very, I don't know how you people do it. Some people do it. I'm just like, no, this is not right. Okay, I'll stop. I want to say thank you for this conversation. It's been very educational and enlightening. And I hope anybody is watching or listening, please reach out or follow Patricia. I think she has a great insight because cancer is growing in our society and we are suffering and we need to detox ourselves. Anything you want to add before I let you go, Patricia?
Get a thermography.
Thermography. Yes, and thermography.
Get thermography. And that's the first thing. Just, get a live image of what your breasts look like. How else can we see what our breasts look like right this minute? And in 6 months, when you do the follow-up and you do certain protocols, which if you contact me, I have a beautiful protocol, which working with the broccoli kingdom, sulforaphane and DIM, those go right to those receptor sites and metabolizes those estrogens off. Iodine, our breasts thrive on iodine. They thrive on vitamin D. An overabundance of estrogen, progesterone cream is good for that. So we want to give our breasts what they love. Just like our liver likes certain things, our brain likes certain nutrients, but our breasts like certain nutrients too. So just know what your breasts want. But again, I have a lot of this on my website, patriciabowden-Luccardi.com, and they can reach out and go from there.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired, and don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.